Story 1. The Hollow Tree Man. I used to work for a small conservation nonprofit in New Hampshire, mostly mapping trails and checking for signs of erosion, trash, or wildlife damage. It was peaceful work, solitary. Just me, my notebook, and the forest. One November, after a long week of rain, I was assigned to inspect a remote trail in the Ravenmark Forest Reserve, an area hardly anyone visited due to its location and heavy overgrowth. I didn't mind. I liked the quiet. The air was damp and cold. Everything smelled of rotting leaves, the kind of smell that reminds you the forest is alive and dying at the same time. I started the trail around 3 p.m., knowing sunset would hit by 5. I moved quickly, making notes, snapping photos. About 2 miles in, I noticed something strange. The forest had gone silent, completely. No birds, no wind, just the crunch of my boots and my breathing. And then I saw it, a tree. It stood alone in a small clearing, taller than the rest, older, blackened bark, gnarled limbs twisting like fingers. It wasn't on any of the maps or drone footage we had. But that wasn't what caught my attention. It was the opening in the base of the trunk, about 5 feet tall and wide enough for a person to step into. I approached it slowly, flashlight in hand. The opening led into a hollow space that shouldn't have been possible. The inside went deeper than the tree's width, much deeper, like a tunnel. And from inside I heard a sound, scraping, like something dragging nails along wood. I should have left, turned around, marked it on my notes, and reported it. But curiosity got the better of me. I leaned closer and whispered, "Hello?" There was a pause. Then a voice answered, weak, raspy, trembling. "Please, help me." Every hair on my body stood up. I asked who was in there. The voice came again. "He keeps me here. He won't let me out." The scraping grew louder, faster. Then another voice, this one deeper, guttural, filled with glee. "I like when they talk." I stumbled back, heart hammering in my chest. As I backed away, the forest seemed to warp, trees leaning slightly, ground growing softer beneath my feet. And then I saw it, something moving in the hollow. It looked like a hand, but not quite. The fingers were long, thin, and bark-like, a piece of the forest itself. A second hand reached out next to it, then a head, humanoid but entirely wrong. No eyes, just a mouth grinning impossibly wide, filled with rows of small black teeth. It whispered again, "Come closer, we'll fit you inside too." I ran. I didn't care about the trail. I tore through brambles, jumped over logs, nearly broke my ankle twice. I ran until I saw the gravel service road and collapsed on it, gasping for breath. Back at the station, I tried to explain what I saw.
We organized a search party. They found his backpack, his phone, his boots,
But no body. And worse, no footprints leading away. Just a faint drag mark, like someone had been pulled through the leaves toward that part of the forest. I quit the job soon after. But here's what still keeps me up. 3 months later, I went back to the site. The tree was gone. The clearing was still there. The odd silence too, but no trace of the tree. Just a shallow impression in the dirt, as if something large had sunk into the ground and vanished. And near the edge of the impression, carved into a rock, were 3 words, freshly etched, unmistakable. "We remember you." Story 2. Whispers at Cold Creek. Last summer, I took a solo hiking trip into the Cold Creek wilderness in Colorado. I'd done solo hikes before. I'm cautious, experienced, and never stray from marked paths. But this time, I wasn't using the main trails. I'd heard about a long abandoned route called the Old Miners Loop, decommissioned decades ago after landslides made parts of it dangerous. It wasn't on any official maps anymore, but I found references to it in an old hiking forum. Some said it had breathtaking views. Others warned people to avoid it, They claimed people who walked the trail alone would hear whispers in the trees, and sometimes wouldn't come back at all. Of course, I thought it was just local folklore. I found the trailhead behind a collapsed fence and started up the loop around 5 p.m. I figured I'd camp halfway and finish the next day. The first 2 hours were peaceful, just me, the sound of crunching leaves, and the occasional crow overhead. But around 7:30, as the sun dipped behind the mountains, the forest changed. Everything went still, dead still. No wind, no birds, not even the buzzing of insects. Then I heard it, faint, almost like the wind at first, a whisper. At first I couldn't make out words. It was more like murmuring, multiple voices, hushed, urgent. I stopped, looked around. No one. I shook it off, telling myself it was my brain playing tricks. But 20 minutes later, it happened again, louder. This time, I could make out my name, Thomas. It came from the right side of the trail. I froze. Who's there? No response. I scanned the trees with my flashlight. Nothing. The forest felt wrong, like the shadows were too thick, like the trees were leaning in, watching me. Still, I pressed on. At 8:30, I made camp near a stream and lit a small fire. The whispers didn't follow me, at least not immediately, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. The moment I stopped moving, I felt eyes on me. Not an animal, something smarter. I barely slept. At around 2 a.m., I woke up to the sound of something circling my tent. Leaves crunching, twigs snapping. Then, whispers. Clear this time. A woman's voice. He's still awake. Then a man's voice. Wait until he dreams. I shot up, heart pounding. I grabbed my flashlight and unzipped the tent. Shined the beam in every direction. Nothing. No footprints. No animals. Just that same awful stillness. I packed up and left immediately, hiking by moonlight. I didn't care about the cliffs or loose trail. I just needed to get out. But the trail didn't look the same. Every landmark I remembered was gone. It was like the forest changed around me. And then, the worst part. I saw someone on the trail up ahead. A woman in a long coat, standing with her back to me. "Hey!" I shouted. She didn't move. I approached slowly. 20 feet away. 10 feet. Still no reaction. Then she spoke without turning. "You shouldn't be here, Thomas." My blood ran cold. I stepped back. She didn't follow, just stood there, then vanished. No wind, no flash. She was simply gone. I ran for hours, completely disoriented, until I finally stumbled onto a service road at dawn. A ranger found me, exhausted, filthy, and half hysterical. I told him everything. He didn't laugh. He just said, "We don't talk about the old miners' loop. You're lucky you made it back." Later, I learned 3 other solo hikers had gone missing on that same trail in the last 10 years. Not a single trace found. I never hike alone anymore. Sometimes when I'm falling asleep, I still hear her voice. Wait until he dreams. Story 3. The Thing Between the Trees. I was 20 when this happened. It was supposed to be a short camping trip. Just me, my older brother Ryan, and his 2 friends, Mark and Jesse. We were all outdoorsy types, and we wanted to spend a weekend off-grid before winter hit. Ryan knew a spot in Oregon's Crescent Range, off-trail, barely known, just a clearing beside a stream surrounded by old-growth pines. We hiked in early, set up camp, built a fire, and spent the day fishing and joking around. It was perfect. But that night, something felt off. Around 10 p.m., the wind died completely. The temperature dropped faster than expected. No insects, no animals, just the crackle of the fire and this strange hum in the air. Not a sound exactly, more like a pressure. like the forest was holding its breath. Then we heard the first snap of a branch in the distance. Ryan stood up. "Probably a deer," he said. "Maybe a bear. Stay calm." But the noise kept coming, not crashing through the brush. Just one branch, then another, deliberate, measured, getting closer. Jessie aimed her flashlight into the woods. The beam caught something. Movement, maybe 20 yards away. Something tall. We thought it might be a tree. Until it shifted. A long, thin figure stepped between two trees, just out of reach of the light. We couldn't see it clearly, but we knew it was watching us. Then it stepped back and vanished. None of us spoke for a few seconds. Then Mark muttered, "That's not a bear." We grabbed our knives and stayed close to the fire. Around 1 a.m., Jessie went to pee near the tree line. A minute later, we heard her scream. We ran to her and found her backing away from the woods, shaking. "I saw it," she whispered. "It was right there, its face." She never finished describing it. We packed up and decided to hike out then and there, even in the dark. We had headlamps and GPS, but the trail looked different. Every turn felt wrong. The trees were closer together than before, and that pressure in the air was worse, almost painful. Then Ryan stopped dead in his tracks. "Do you hear that?" he asked. We listened. There was something mimicking us. I swear to God, it sounded like us, repeating things we'd said. But the voices were twisted, hollow. "Don't go that way," it said in my voice. "It's right behind you," it said in Ryan's voice. "I saw it. Its face," it echoed Jessie's words. Then it laughed, low, broken, like a dying animal imitating a person. We bolted. Somewhere in the chaos, Mark got separated from us. We called for him again and again, but no answer. Just that same laugh, over and over. We tried to forget, tried to move on. But a month later, Jessie called me in the middle of the night. She was crying. Said she'd gone on a walk through the woods behind her neighborhood. Said she heard it again. Mark's voice, calling her name, begging for help. She hasn't left her house since. And me? Sometimes, when I go camping, even just in my backyard, I still hear it. That low, awful voice in the trees, mimicking me, waiting. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And remember, the darkness is always surrounding us, just waiting for a chance. Thanks for watching. See you next story.